Well, hello. Welcome back to Building Your Dream Life. And I'm going to share my recipe with you. You can all borrow my recipe. Now, we all come with a little bit different ingredients, We all come with different opportunities given, things like that. But I will say, for the most part, I started from scratch. I didn't really have a lot of advantages, I guess you should say. You could say. So there's that. I guess my advantage would be I was born in America, and there's just, the schooling here, especially in California, there's a lot of opportunity given. So those things would probably be my biggest advantage as far as coming from a family that has money that paid my way through college and set me up with, a down payment for my first home. None of that. And none of that from my husband's family either. So this is how we built our dream life. Now, keep in mind, everyone's dream life, everybody's idea of a dream life is different. But this is our version of our dream life, and we're perfectly super happy with it. So I'll share my recipe, and you can borrow pieces of it that will help you. Even if you're in the middle of your recipe, you can add some other ingredients and encouragement and maybe change what you're baking over there. Okay, let's get started. So I would say the top ingredients for building my life's recipe would be determination, commitment, loyalty, clarity, that's big, and a lot of love. Those would probably be my top 5. A heavy pour of determination, commitment, loyalty, clarity, and a lot of love. All right, so my recipe building my dreams may be very unique and very different, but this is how I did it. So I'm going to start with when I became an adult, because nothing from my childhood really catapulted me other than my childhood kind of forced me to grow up and learn a lot of life lessons really quickly. So that could be an advantage, I guess. So at 17, I left home, and with my idea that I was going to start college early. So I graduated high school early. I took a test, graduated early, because I wanted to leave home. I wanted to work, and I wanted to go to college. And I was very motivated and clear on that. So there's that. And I was determined. So I think these are just personality traits that I've been blessed with. So that helps a lot. But that doesn't mean if you don't naturally come with a lot of determination or commitment or loyalty or clarity or love given, that doesn't mean that you can't create those things in your life, because you can. You can do that at any age and stage. I promise you. So at 17, I left home. I started college. I started working part-time. I had at one point going through college, I would work 3 part-time jobs at a time, and which would equate to pretty much working full-time. But I'm just working these little jobs and going to school. And I was very clear. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. So I went to school. I became a teacher. It took me 6 years to get my AA and my BA. So to get through my junior college and my 4-year college, it took me 6 years. And the reason being, I was working equivalent to full-time and going to school full-time. And it just took me longer because I was very busy. But, when you're young like that, you just have this, if you're determined and motivated, you just got this different level of energy that, now would be really hard to comprehend, but not undoable. I know people at my age going back to college, and it's amazing, and hats off to them. I salute you. Wow. So at 17, I went to college. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I actually trained to be a high school teacher. I wanted to teach. My dream job was I wanted to teach child development to high school kids. So I trained in that. That was my major. And then when I got out and I decided on my credential, I was second guessing myself. And I was like, no, I really love little kids. I want to go be an elementary school teacher. And so when I started my credentialing program, in the middle of college here, I guess I got to back up a little bit, in the middle of college. So my husband and I are high school sweethearts. And I was only in high school a few months when I met him because I was graduating and I was going to college. Luckily, the college was still in the same, little town. And we got married in between our junior college year and our 4-year college years. And so we got married basically as juniors in college, let's say. So we got married. And then my husband was out in, the regular time in 2 years after we got married, and he got a job. And at that point, I had 1 semester left, and I did get pregnant when he got a full-time job. I was like, okay, let's start our family. Like I knew I want to have a family. I want to, be a mom. I knew forever that I always wanted to be a mom. I come from a family with 5 kids. I knew I didn't want that many, but I knew I wanted to be a mom. And so I had a baby, and I had 3 courses left before I got my BA, but I did it. And then when I went to I got my first teaching job right after. So I got what's called an emergency teaching credential. And I started teaching. This is the wild part, you guys. I started teaching elementary school kids before I even had my very first college credential class. Because I was hired on an emergency credential 2 days before school started. And I had to commute an hour, it was a lot. So I was teaching, and I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs barking. It's because something's getting delivered right now, of course. So I started teaching. I started my credential class. My daughter was 9 months old. And Wednesday nights I would go to class and my husband would watch her. And that was the beginning of my teaching career. So I've been teaching the same amount of years as my daughter is old. So I'm starting my 27th teaching year this year. And my daughter is turning 27 this year. So yeah. But it all worked out. It all worked out because of my ingredients. Remember, I had a lot of commitment, determination, loyalty. That's where my relationship with my husband comes in. Clarity. I always just had such clarity. I can't really explain it. I think my clarity came from mainly, wanting something different when I decided to start my own family than what I had. Not that I had anything horrible or anything. It just wasn't stable. And we didn't live in one place. We were moving all the time. So I knew I didn't want that. So we worked really hard to provide that for our kids, and that will come in a little bit in the story. But so we started having kids. I'm working. My husband's working. My husband's actually working 2 jobs. We had this big dream of owning a farm. My husband is an almond farmer here in California. And, we are first generation farmers. We do not have family that were farmers. We do not have family that has, 100 or plus acres of land to let us kind of live on and farm. what happens a lot. That was not our situation. Everything that we do have now has been from our ingredients. Really hard work, determination, commitment, loyalty, clarity, and love. So I just plugged away. And then 3.5 years later, we had our second daughter. Still teaching. My husband's still working his 2 jobs. He's in agriculture for his other job, and he had a little farming, like sharecropping, basically. He was sharecropping, basically. Leasing the almond trees at the time that he was managing and farming. We didn't own anything yet. That came later. We owned our home. We owned our little home. And that was right when I had my daughter and graduated college. We bought our first little home. And that was amazing. And a great springboard to us getting into our dream home, which is where we are now, our farm. So farm life is not a dream life for a lot of people, probably most people actually. So remember, this is like our version of our dream life. This is not everybody's version of a dream life, right? And that's okay. That's okay. Because I think the same ingredients can go for whatever kind of dream life you're working on here. So we are plugging away, and then 18 months later, I have my son. So my last 2 babies are 18 months apart. And we have 2 daughters and a son. And I knew, okay, we're fulfilled. We're done. This is our family. And I always kind of knew 3 was my number. 3 was the number. So I felt complete and everything was great. We were just plugging away, working hard, raising kids. Again, we're fairly young. We're in our 20s, done with having all our kids at 29. And we are just working super hard. All of our 20s, all of our 30s. In mid-30s, we had an opportunity to purchase our farm. We were looking, and we always knew that we wanted a property with a house and some farmland, preferably with almond trees on it already, but not necessarily. We could have had open land and planted them. But it all worked out. We found our home, and it had trees on it already. And my husband took over the farm, and we bought the house. And this is where we raised our kids. We raised our kids here since my oldest was 10. So the other 2 were almost 7 and 5. So when they think of home, they think of our farm. They come back home. This is home. And that is part of my dream life, because I didn't have that as a kid. I didn't have a place that I could call home or go back to and feel like it's home, because we never lived anywhere for long enough to make it feel that way. So that's kind of when my dream literally came true, was when I knew that we did it. We found our dream home, our dream property, our farm, and I could envision that we were going to live here till we're old and gray. And we're getting there. I have a lot of gray hair. I'm old, getting there too. We're getting there. All of our kids are grown and flown. So this is home though. And I'm so happy that we have this place for them to come back to. And I know they love it. I know that they appreciate what it means to be able to come home. And I don't know that I've mentioned it enough times that, I have mentioned it to them. Like, it's something that I truly wanted for my children, is some place that felt like home. That's what I wanted to provide my kids. That's what would feel like a dream life for me. Is that stability, those roots, right? Those roots, those are Really important, especially when you're growing up kids. And so we're here. And the other thing, when our children were small, I was very intentional with intentional. That might be the other ingredient that I'm talking about too. There was a lot of intent within raising our children. So I knew that I had to work, like, to afford our dream property. I knew I had to be a working mom. It wasn't always what I wanted to do. I would love to had more time with my kids at home when they were little. But it just, in our goals that we had for our family, that just, it wasn't feasible, even though my husband worked 2 jobs for a long time. Eventually he was able to quit his other job and just farm. So that probably saved him, a heart attack or something. He was working really way too hard. So grateful for that. But we were really intentional about the influence that our kids had and the people that were surrounding our kids. So luckily for us, I found the most amazing daycare provider for my kids. So that stability was still stood true. So the 10 years that I needed a daycare provider, she was our daycare provider for those 10 years. So from my oldest daughter being 2 to, we had a different daycare lady for a little bit before that, but from 2 all the way until my son started kindergarten, being 5, almost 6 years old, she was our daycare provider. And it just turned out that she also turned into my very best friend, and we're still friends. And she's like an aunt or a second mom to my kids. She's come to every single birthday party my kids ever had. She's just a part of our life, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. So the other part of the recipe would be, making sure you have a great handle on who and what is influencing your kids when they are at that age where they are very influential. That was so huge for me. The other piece of the recipe would be, I'm a teacher, and they came to the school that I taught at. So from kindergarten into 5th grade, I got to handpick their teachers. And that's a huge blessing in itself. I knew who I wanted my kids to be with, and was lucky enough to be able to handpick those teachers. If you're not a teacher and you want to handpick your kids' teachers, volunteer at the school. Even if it's just a little while, you will get to know real quick whose class you want your kids to be in each grade level. You will find out real fast. Volunteer, go read, go on field trips, things like that. That's something that you could join PTA. You'll be able to figure out who you want your kids to be with. I promise you. Just do a little bit of volunteer time, and teachers love it. We need more parent volunteers. So please, yes, get involved in your kids' school. Even if you work full time, take a day, go volunteer, do something, get to know those teachers and the staff at the school. I promise you, it will pay back big time. You'll learn a lot. You will learn a lot. Let's see. We still work hard every single day. Farming is rough, you guys. Like, it's something else. It is a lot of ups and downs. Being first generation, we make mortgage payments, we make land payments. We don't have the comfort of, wow, prices are really down this year. What are we going to do? Oh, well, just, take a loan out on this property that we own free and clear. Or, we don't have that luxury. We're first generation farmers. So it's a lot of building and a lot of hard work, and we're still doing it. But it's worth it. It's worth the dream, because this is our lifestyle that we worked so hard for. This is what we provided our kids growing up. and what we'll provide our grandkids as they keep coming. I have one and another one on the way. I'm so excited. So we're getting to that point now that we're starting to like really appreciate and enjoy what we worked so hard for, and starting to realize, I just turned 50. So I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher a super duper long time, starting my 27th year. I can technically retire at 55. I don't know that I will. I'm going to have to see. I need to make an appointment with my retirement guy, but we'll see. I mean, I've got a handful-ish of years and I will get to retire, and I'm excited about that. We worked really hard. My husband's a farmer. He says he will never retire because he's a farmer and they don't retire. And he's right. They really don't. So he will be working in some capacity for the rest of his life, honestly. And I'm just excited to see, what kind of time and activities and fun things that we can plan and do with our kids and our grandkids. Super excited about that. That's my biggest goal, is always, what can I do? When can I hang out with my family? That's my whole purpose in life, basically. So, we're starting to dream pretty big, like, what's this next chapter going to be about? And, who gets to decide is me. I get to decide what it's going to be about. And I will share what my mindset tools are, because I do reference, get to a place where you think this or do this, or get to a place where, so I think it's important for me to share my mindset tools that I've used for many years. I have been licensed as a life coach, so I have a couple tools that I use. I don't do a lot of life coaching. I just don't really have time. I am going to start doing some more of those type of videos on here, though. So that'll be my outlet for life coaching, will be on here. So I will share a video, and I'll link it here when I get that done. But definitely, the mindset is huge, and I will share those tools because I think it's very important. To be able to be, you're the master of your mind. You're the master of your day, your life. You get to decide. So I will share that. So I guess the moral of my story of my life is like, it hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been handed to us. We worked super hard, really, really hard. And I think the key here is to really appreciate and have deep gratitude for everything that you were given. And trust me, I am so grateful for everything that we worked really hard, but I know that without the grace of God, a lot of things just would not have worked out. I know that. For me, I know that. And the journey of life can be hard, right? Like, it's not always easy, but if you know where you're going and you've got your ingredients, let's review them. You got your determination, you got your commitment, you got your loyalty. Having that loyalty between my husband and I, and kind of like the shared goals, that changes everything. Starting out with tons of clarity. And at the moments that I didn't have clarity, I used my mindset tools to get real clear what's important here. Where am I going with this? What is the outcome that I want? What kind of life do I want? And then most of all, biggest of all, love. Love was the driver here. Love for myself, love for and respect for, that I'm important enough to deserve everything that we worked really hard for, and important enough to try really hard and be determined on that, and love for my family and love for my husband, and building this life that we built. And I couldn't be more proud of the life that we built. And I'll save the rest for another time, but thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you again.